So this is basically about what?
Well, I gave you some pictures because we've moved videos I'm making with Tim onto my old Gridkeeper channel, and we're doing 3 more videos that go on from the walkabout in Brighton, and then the lecture about the Egypt stuff, and then Colin Bloy. And then because we've released the Super Soldier service to the public, we thought we'd make 3 videos on actually how to use the service.
Yeah.
So we've done 2 of them, and the 3rd one we're going to be filming quite soon. And in that one we're going to be talking about the Bronfman family, who are actually the Canadian Rothschilds. And then after that one we start talking about all the good stuff, which we've not even got to yet.
Yeah.
Which is more about healing yourselves, living longer and all that other stuff. How the women in the future can have wrinkle-free faces without having to go into Boots and spend loads of money on cosmetics and stuff. And lots of other things. That's a whole other video.
What sort of stuff? I mean, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
So this whole studio has been ripped to bits.
There's, well, I'm not going to say too much about it yet. You spelt my name wrong. Everyone spells my name wrong.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Have I spelt your name wrong?
Yeah, it doesn't have an E in it.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I'm not from Wales.
You're not from Wales? Funnily
enough, we're talking about the Canadian Rothschilds. That name Davis is actually from Canada.
Ah, right.
Yeah, funny that.
There's a couple of little things I still have to adjust on the Facebook.
Yeah, so there's things like a bioplasm pump, to give you energy and help you look younger. So instead of going off doing rituals with the children and all that other stuff, there's other ways to do that without having to do that rubbish. And there's another one called surgical scalpel, and that'll be for the ladies, and that will remove all your wrinkles over time and everything.
Okay, now I've just done a couple of little adjustments. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a case of we've got a bit of a buzz somewhere, but we just live with it. Right. Okay, the point about this is that this is an explanation for what you've been doing on Basis 88 with Tim Rifat, which is really sensational stuff, right?
Yeah, which most people don't seem to understand.
Well, I think that's because it's been so horrendous. I mean, you're going to kill everybody in the West. We're all bad.
Tim's brutal. He is. That's the avatar of Kalki.
We'll start your PowerPoint in a few minutes. Essentially, I've got a PowerPoint here, which the Gridkeeper live on the phone south of England. Where exactly are you, Duncan?
Who, me?
Yeah. I mean, is it Chichester?
I'm in Chichester.
Which is...
It's a very strange place. It's a lovely place.
For the benefit of those who are going to be listening a little bit later on, Chichester is a bit below sea level. Do you want to sort of vaguely hint on why that's a bit of a problem for you?
Yeah. It's about... I've forgotten how much it is. 200 feet below sea level. And it's about 8 miles down to the beach. There are smaller harbours that are closer. Why would that be a problem?
Well, apparently there's going to be a few things happening based on part of your presentation later.
That goes with it, but there's only one, so I could talk about it now if you want.
No, because that would ruin my PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a wing and a prayer.
We'll get to that. Talk about Tim if you want.
Yeah, why don't you talk about this man called Tim Rifat? Because I've got a picture of him up now, of him looking through the steel door, the steel compartment in his flat.
Yeah, is that his telephone?
No, that was me on the. I've got a metal thing.
Oh, actually, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Okay. So, explain what this metal room is and why is he in it?
Because The only way MI5 can get to Tim is by trying to poison him and bombard him with electromagnetic radiation. So this goes back about 15 odd years, and he was on that Channel 4 show talking about it, and he built the box because he was living with his mother because he was caring for her for quite a few years. So he built the box in a room, and that's where he sat and.
Well, this is a sheet steel box.
I don't know how it all works. It's in the video. It's all explained.
No, but for those who haven't seen the video, the whole point about this is to explain things.
Watch it. Because I don't know enough about it,
Well, I think the whole point is that it's if you have steel, the jinn don't like it. The jinn don't like iron, so that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know much about Tim's steel.
But that's the whole point about having steel. It's rather than aluminium. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm no expert, mate.
Duncan, the whole point about this thing is you're meant to be an expert and tell people what the hell's going on.
Not on everything.
I mean, nobody else is listening.
Quite a lot about Tim, but I don't know much about his metal box, mate.
God. Jesus. Well, we'll give another look of him, a bit of surprise, pissed off about the metal box. This is a very small opening that he's got there, and they got in, and it was a real mess.
Yeah. Well, they turned all the taps on upstairs, didn't they? Which was an excuse.
Yeah. And this is available on the Jeff Wrench show, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not the first thing they've done. That car that we're doing up, MI5 tried to wreck that.
Now, what car is this? It's some little small Mini, isn't it? It hasn't got much acceleration, and it certainly isn't rare.
The most powerful Jensen interceptor on the planet. And it's got about 1,400, well, it's been uprated, it's 1,400 horsepower. It's the world's first hypercar. And it's extremely rare, and it's very valuable. Very valuable. Ridiculous amount of money that it's worth. And it's Tim's, and MI5 tried to wreck it. And they trashed it and got left outside in the rain, and then it got put in a garage, and they flooded the flat above that as well. And water sat in the car for years.
Yeah. So that's not nice. Why were they not nice to?
Because this is the thing. When the way Tim talks, I guess the Americans will have a lot of misunderstandings listening to Tim because.
Well, we don't have to blame the Americans for everything, but I mean, Tim's talking in a pretty serious way.
And a lot of Americans don't understand British sarcasm. There's a lot of sarcasm in Tim's videos, and a lot of the time, he's telling what he's doing. He's telling you what the Rothschilds have done to you, to everyone in the West. That's what the point is. When Tim makes the videos, unless we're telling someone how to use the crystals, then the videos are for the Rothschilds. That's who he's really talking to, because he wants to, that it's all part of what he's doing. So it comes across as quite brutal. But
I mean, I would say it comes across as very brutal. He wants to destroy us all, and we're all very nasty, and it's all our fault.
And that's the it is, and that's the avatar of Kalki. So
what is the avatar of Kalki?
Which is the 10th avatar of Vishnu. And what that is, it's the ending of the Kali Yuga, when everything on Earth is as bad as it could be. Nothing's getting any better. Everyone thinks it is. Everyone says they know the truth, and that this is happening. The aliens are doing this. Everyone's saving everyone else. We're doing this. We're doing that, and nothing gets better. And that's what's happened. So the Kali Yuga gets ended by someone who's turned into the Omega Point man, and that happens to be Tim Rifat.
Now, what is this Omega Point?
It's the being chosen at the end of the universal cycle to rid the world of all the evil and the world's plunderers. And you ain't going to do it by sending love to them. That just makes it worse, and it has made it worse. So Tim's technology is the only way to deal with it, and it's open, it's public, it's not behind closed doors, and it really is happening right now. And Yeah, like I say, Tim's quite brutal with what he does, but he, you know, you've got to understand that a Mega Point man looks at the West and says, well, everyone that's supporting the Rothschilds is evil.
Now, you can see I've actually changed your name.
You're very clever.
You see, I can even do that. It's amazing. So you're the one on the left in that photograph.
That's why the videos are harsh, because people, you know, if it affects people and they get angry, then, well, why not? You know, you're going to think about what we're saying to you and actually try and understand evil and where it comes from and how it works. And that's why we did the video on what 007 really means, and the video about Christianity and Egypt, etc.
Okay. Well, I think we've been on long enough, and I'm going to why don't we start the PowerPoint?
And I just want to say Tim's background. You know, a lot of people don't realise that he actually worked for the occult warfare of the MI Secret Service in England, and you know he was the assistant to Colin Bloy, and he does have the keys.
Now, who's Colin Bloy? I spoke to somebody at the weekend who knows of Colin Bloy and that whole thing. I've got a slide up now, the Physics of Psychic Warfare, Lecture 1, which is the frame grab from the very first.
But Colin Bloy was the same as Dr. John Dee, who worked for Queen Elizabeth I.
Now that brings in Francis Bacon, which I do a lot of lectures. I record a lot of the lectures, and I would ask people to look at those.
So, what Colin did, Colin knew how to talk to the Elohim. He was a very good dowser. But he couldn't see the ley lines. He couldn't see the energy fields. But Tim could. He can see all of them. He can see the parasites feeding off every single person he walks past. He can see everything, mate. I've never met anyone else in my life that can see everything. And he worked with Colin Bloy. They worked for the government. They did a lot of stuff with psychic warfare, etc. And then, Tim had done a deal with them, and they went. The Rothschilds tried to double cross him, and he would have ended up being a sacrifice to the Elohim.
Now, explain all this thing about the Elohim.
Oh, I'm not ready for that one. I knew you were going to ask me that. I'll do that further down the line, Mars.
I mean, are these the God? I mean, people who've read Zachariah Sitchin and all that would see that.
It's just how the energy's moved about. It's just where it goes, but I'll do that in another one, because that's I'll talk for quite long about that. Because I had a personal relationship with the Elohim for quite a long time.
And these aren't these a lot that deal with John Irwin?
I haven't read all of John Irwin's stuff.
Yeah. Okay. There was something about that.
Did you get him or not? I'd like to know. So I don't know where I was now.
You were describing your personal relationship with.
No, before that.
So change it there as well. Amazing. Where we were about to start the
let's talk about the pictures.
The pictures. Okay. This is a PowerPoint presentation which we've assembled over a period of time, which is why we're 2 hours late. And let's get on with it. So there it is, Basis 88, Part 7, the Gridkeeper, and take it away.
Well, where's the next picture? You're going to put the picture up?
Yeah. I hope that's in the right order.
Bronfman. Yeah?
Yeah.
Nigel Havers?
Yes, stepdaughter.
That's the one. I want to see that picture.
You've got that. That should be there.
The red one. Oh, it's like there's a delay because the base is 88.
Oh, no, if you're looking at this off Facebook, or it will be a good minute.
Yeah, there we go.
At least, okay.
So, why am I talking about this? Well, the reason I'm talking about this is because we're about to film the third part of our how to use our super soldier service, and we're going to be talking about the Bronfman family because they are the Rothschilds, and that's the Canadian version of the Rothschild name. And in this picture, you've got Claire Bronfman on the left, and you've got a very, very well-known British actor who is Nigel Havers, and he is Claire Bronfman's stepfather. And on the bottom left of the picture, you'll see one of the brandings of the cult that Claire Bronfman belonged to. And these are the brandings that have been talked about in the mainstream media of the branding of small children.
That's actually done physically onto flesh, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and we've seen these before in the past, but no, it was all conspiracy stuff. I find it quite ironic how we talk about these conspiracy things for years, and we see the truth of it and here and there, and you're not quite sure whether to believe it. And we all know that the mainstream news are pretty full of it most of the time, but then they're the ones that finally prove it was true, which is quite weird. But yeah, so Claire Bronfman has actually pleaded not guilty on being part of this child sex cult thing, and I think she's out on bail for $100 million or something. She's got an electronic tag.
Now, which one of these people? Sorry, the brown-haired lady on the top left, or the blonde lady on the
top left? Okay. Her and her sister actually as well. What's her sister's name? Sarah. It was a cult called Nixium, and her and her sister Sarah put $150 million into it a few years ago.
Is that all?
And I think we've got a picture of the leader as well, haven't we?
We've got a picture. The next picture is Alison Mack.
Ah, I forgot. Yeah, Alison Mack. So this is how it started.
So do you want that one up next?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, that's now on screen.
A lot of people know Alison Mack from Smallville, which was the Young Superman series. And there was a lot of stories 2 or 3 months ago that Alison Mack had been arrested.
Now, I have to say, just while you're talking there, I noticed that there's quite a difference between a left eye and a right eye.
Yes, you saw that as well. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So,
now, what does that mean?
That's to do with the MK Ultra thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's just I know somebody else like that.
I don't know the details. But she has actually confessed that she sold children to the Rothschilds and the Clintons. But I don't know what's happening with her at the moment. I don't know much more than that, really.
Now, is that hearsay or is it actual?
I still haven't had it confirmed. I guess when we see it on the BBC News, we'll all know it's true.
And is that tongue in cheek or
it was a bit in between.
Oh God, an American will be able to handle that in between. Okay.
Then you've got the leader of the cult. Now this guy called Keith. How do you pronounce his name? Raniere.
Okay, Nixium cult leader Keith Raniere with the Dalai Lama.
So, and this is what I look at things in the world. You talk about where evil really is. And I don't know the Dalai Lama personally, but he's supposed to be this all-knowing guy. Yet there's a picture of him with this guy, and he's draping something called a kata around him. Well, I don't know what that is, but they look pretty pleased to be there.
Well, the thing about this is that Chris Thomas from Wales, when I interviewed him a long time ago, said that the two types of Valon creature arrived here amongst many, and most of whom left. One escaped or went to the Himalayas, that area, that region, and they are the Hathors.
Oh, really?
And that is what the Dalai Lama represents, all that stuff, apparently.
So we go back to Egypt again.
In terms of an arrival of a species which decided to mess with this planet.
We talked about that in Basis Part 5, the lecture, didn't we?
I think so, but I think Chris Thomas's stuff refers to he's in Wales.
I don't know how many, a lot of people don't know this, but when we do the Egypt stuff, the reason I was so interested in that is because going back to my family, my bloodline, it comes from Karnak. And I had this Ra thing going on for years. But like I say, we'll talk about that in another video.
Okay, well, we go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, picture 3, Nixium cult. Yeah. What's the next one?
And then the next picture.
Yeah, because this is very topical. Alex Jones.
Yeah, the guy with his tin hat on. He's a funny guy. Now, I'm quite grateful for Alex Jones because.
I mean, for the purposes of this recording, this live recording is that Facebook, everybody, YouTube, the whole lot have taken them off air. And the context of this is that the material or the stuff that happened with in part 3 with Tim is responsible for all this. Is that right?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about that. It looks that way, doesn't it? I don't want to say anything yet until more stuff happens. But this is just the beginning.
But you're inferring that what happened then, and the reason why I mention this is because it's involving another colleague called Sohail.
Oh, we're going to talk about him as well. But I just want to say about Alex Jones.
Okay, Alex Jones.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alex Jones in the next video on my channel, which will be up by the end of the weekend.
And what is your channel?
Oh, Gridkeeper.
Just Gridkeeper, and that's on YouTube, and you've got tons of stuff there.
I've got over 500 videos. I stopped my last video was just before the Olympics in 2012, but I did release some private videos the other week of helicopters and orbs from years ago.
Yeah. Is that similar to the stuff you gave me?
I think so, yeah. Because I found out about the helicopters and why they used to follow me and all that, so I thought, I've got it, I'll just release all the videos then. So many on there, it's ridiculous. But Alex Jones, the reason we're talking about Alex Jones, there's a lot of people talking about him, the Jesuit school, all this other stuff. Alex Jones is funded by the Bronfman. That's true.
And what's the significance again of that, just to underline this?
So...
that's because they're Rothschilds.
Yeah. So they're all connected.
And the significance to this is that because this material that we went through on 88, Basis 88 Part 3 is and 4 is basically because Tim has initiated an attack run, I will use that sort of terminology, to take out the Rothschilds, and suddenly a lot of them, one committed suicide tragically.
And they agreed to it, but they didn't believe he'd do it, so he's doing it publicly.
They agreed to it?
Yeah, they threatened him. Tim honest, don't ever threaten Tim, he'll honour it.
And what was that? What he's mentioning it? He mentioned it a few times on the video.
Well, the email.
Yeah, they will crush him like a fly.
Yeah, I've seen the email. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. They replied to him, and it said something like, "You're nothing. We will crush you like a flea."
Like a fly?
No, a flea.
Oh, a flea.
They called him a flea, and they said your ramblings will have no effect on the future because it's already happened. Well, what they failed to realise is that we're locked into a timeline where they lose.
Now, explain that. Why are they locked into a timeline? Why is this happening?
Because Tim has the keys to the castle.
That's the keys to reality, the reality matrix.
He's changing it, and I asked him a few months ago. I said, why? How would you sum this up? I said, why are you changing? Why are you changing it so drastically? And he just said, because it's shit. He said it's a complete and utter mess. And he said you'll never get to a golden age unless you totally dismantle the Rothschild empire. And he said, how do you do that in a small way? How do you send them love to do that? It just fuels them to keep doing it to us. And we never learn anything. He said it's too late. It's all got to be taken apart. And then I struggled with it. And you look at what I did for the last 12 years, and then and Tim told me all this stuff last year. I'd known things about him before, but I never fully understand it. And I started spending a lot of time with him. It showed me how it all worked, and it just, I just knew I'd hit a wall. I've been like, I've just lifted the last veil of reality, which is what I'd always tried to do as the Gridkeeper. But I kept doing things, knowing that things weren't quite right. But how do you find out what is at the end of the that tunnel, and Tim just peeled it all back to me and blew my mind completely. And then he started showing me how evil really works and what it is and how you deal with it. And it's not like how I ever thought you'd deal with it. And everyone says, oh no, you've got to do it this way, that way, or the other way. But they don't know. They only know what someone else has told them, or what they'd like to believe, or what an alien told them, or a channeling told them. They don't even know who they're talking to, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And what people can't see is how the Matrix actually functions from top to bottom. And how if you did things one way, we'd all cease to exist. And there's only certain ways to do things, because the Matrix was programmed a certain way in the first place.
Now, what matrix exists? What exactly are you talking? Are you talking about the Nephilim matrix, or what? Or Elohim, or what?
Of our reality, the thing that locks us all into
3D,
to this food chain, the parasitic food chain. And how do we break that and turn it around so that we can actually live a better life? And
which is what this is all about. This is all about giving us a better life, but we're all going to be wiped out by the flood or something. I'll go on to the next slide.
Yeah, we'll get to that bit, but oh no, I had something to say then, I've just forgotten. No, it's gone.
I mean, on the one hand, okay, I'll talk around that. On the one hand, he's calling us wetware. Tim's calling us wetware. Why does he call us wetware?
Because we've all been mind-fucked by everything around us.
Or is it because an alien can wear us easily enough?
We all think we've got our own free will. I could have a load of money saved up and then go and live in a house somewhere on my own. But I'm going to watch telly. Well, actually, that's taking my free will away from me. I want to go into town, but I haven't got a car. I'll have to get the bus. I've got to pay to go somewhere. That's against your free will. Everything is, Everything you do in the West is bleeding your free will energy off you. People don't even understand that. And that puts you into a debt that you can't even see.
And that's this whole thing about how banks work. They invent money and create a false money.
But the cosmos sees that anyone who's ever supported the Rothschilds is evil. And Tim's telling you all that. Telling everyone that, but he's doing it in such a brutal way. If he came along and did it all namby-pamby, no one would fucking listen to him. Now, a lot of people say they don't want to listen to him, but they still watch it, and it's getting a lot of views, and I'm glad it is. But Tim ain't the bad guy. No matter what.
But one of the purposes of this, one of the whole purposes of this part is for you to explain that.
Yeah, but I'm his balance. He'll talk about that in the next video. He'll tell you how I've spent months twisting his arm to bring forward the good side of all this that's going to help people. He's got to the point where he's just had enough and gone, well, I'm just going to get rid of the West and start again. And that's a brutal thing to do. So, I spent months talking to him about all this stuff, and we have, both our paths have changed on some of the decisions we've made. But like I said, after this next video, we will talk about the good stuff. There'll be like a 10-part series on healing and all sorts. It'll be really interesting.
And that'll be on your channel.
Yeah, that'll be on my Gridkeeper channel. And if there's 2 videos up that I put up last week, and if you got to read, people need to read the description. There's also an audio about the Super Soldier service where Tim's just talking for 2 hours. There's 2 parts to it. There's a link. You click on the link, it'll go to it. Oh, you've got the Super Soldier picture, haven't you? But that's probably not the picture yet.
Well, yeah. Shall we get back to the PowerPoint?
Yeah. What's the next picture?
Well, you got Alex Jones, and he's just been taken off the air because
what was after Alex Jones?
The
volcano.
The volcano. Now, explain about that.
Do the volcano. I want to see the picture. So, this is something I haven't looked into a lot. I've done a bit of research on it.
I mean, this is one of 2 big disasters. There's Yellowstone National Park going up, and there's this one at La Palma.
Yeah, got the possible different timelines of the path that we're all looking at now. Oh, I wish I'd just do another one on this, because the Mandela effect comes into all this. But so this one we're in now has this 10-year countdown of this, this thing going on with the Rothschilds. But we had this conversation yesterday. You asked me about 5G and what to do about it.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, how many times these things have been upgraded over the years? Do you think it's going to stop at 5G? You know, there'll be something else, and everything will just keep going. It will never stop.
Well, I think the point about 5G is that it's using frequencies which are basically toxic to life.
Yes.
You know, up to 100 gigs.
So, you know, what can you do about it? And then I talked about floods. And you've got this volcano in Canary Islands, off the island of La Palma. I'm sure when Tim talks about it, he calls it Cumbre Vieja. It's actually got a J in it, Bieja, and it's a volcano. And there's a west flank. And, the picture's gone. You able to put it back up?
Yeah.
Share. There you go. So you've got a west flank, and if it falls into the water, the amount of rock that will fall into the water, they're roughly saying it will be from 150 to 500 kilometers cubed of rock just dropping into the ocean. And that would create a tsunami that would cover the entire Atlantic Ocean, the whole of it, which is quite a thing. But you've got America on the other side, and it would take about 6? It says on the map 6 hours to get there.
It says 8 hours on the graph.
Is it okay? And the wave would be over 100 feet high, so it's between 100 and 200.
Yeah, that's the US Airways, 130 to 160 feet high, move at a speed of 650 miles per hour and travel up to 12.5 miles inland.
And then you've got UK at the top right hand. So obviously you've got South America, you've got Africa, which was quite close to it. And then on the
the northwest of Africa waves would be 300 feet high.
Yeah, which is just that's just mad.
But the thing about the channel in the UK is that will funnel the water up to about 300 feet high across the southeast of England.
You know, think about Dover.
Yeah.
You know, with the high cliffs and everything. And of course Ireland, Wales and Cornwall and the south. And much of the south of England from the coast doesn't actually go uphill, it goes downhill before it goes back up again.
Yeah.
But you've only got waves of, what does it say there, 16, 23 feet? And we don't know, you know, it could be...
Well, that's in the open ocean, but I think there's BBC have done a thing on this, that when it goes through the shallows of the channel, it will be like the Bristol Bore, or the Severn Bore. It will rise up again.
Well, the thing to note about England are most of our power stations are on the west coast of England by the water, and you're talking nuclear power stations.
Yeah, especially up at Cumbria.
You know, I don't need to say much more than that, do I?
Yeah.
You know, it's what it is. Well, Tim saw this happening in this timeline because it is the timeline that the Rothschilds lose in, and he saw this also happening within the next 10 years. And he's talked about it. He's talked about this on the Rent show for years. He's been talking about this happening.
But why is it happening now as opposed to just about possibly happening?
End of the Kali Yuga, mate. How else are you going to get rid of the 5G or whatever? You know, it's devastating. We're in devastating times, and it's weird because I remember before 2012, this is all what people were talking about for quite a long time. And Tim's come along and it's all happening. And I'm thinking, God, there's still hardly anyone knows about this. You know, Tim's been telling people on Rents for over 15 years.
Yeah, but the Jeff Rent show's been heavily censored. Its ratings have been collapsed, has been cut down. The Jeff Rent show's one of the most influential shows. People really need to get across the Jeff Rent show.
You know, when people really understand that Tim was the archmage of the Illuminati and there's nothing about them he doesn't know. You know?
In what way does that mean, archmajor?
He knows how they controlled the planet, how they did all their magic rituals. He did some of them with Colin Bloy. That's how he knows all this stuff. Look at how I've never seen anyone in the world walk up to a monument and actually tell you the numbers of it and how it worked. That's just, you know, I never thought I'd ever learn that.
And that was all on Basis 88 Part 5.
Yeah, it's me. He said there's no written, you know, you hear these different types of Kabbalah, all these other magic, and I've had people writing to me saying, oh, you're wrong about that, you know, it's like this, and then someone else says the same thing, says about the same thing but tells me it's a different way. And Tim said to me, you'll get a lot of that because the real truth of it all and how the reality functions and how a lot of the magic works is incomplete in written form. It was done that on purpose. Done that way on purpose. So man was never given all the secret, and a lot of people think that they were. You know, the Masons, the occultists, everyone. I know people, you know, I know people that belong to occultist placed mystery schools, and they're really high ranking, and you know, I have chats with them, and I think, bloody hell, you just don't quite, you're not quite there, you know, no one's quite there, but everyone thinks they are.
Isn't that the big con job, though?
Yeah, everything's a con. And it's about con if you start talking about religion and Christianity and everything else. But should we move on to another picture? Where are we?
Right. Well, we've you got Tim Bow Down Witches, the Bow Down Witches T-shirt.
In there.
And then the next one we have is picture 7, Super Soldier Service. Explain all that, because this is very important in terms of relative to the basis thing.
This is what I talked about at Christmas when I said I wrote that thing. It was with Sean Stone interviewed Michael Aquino, and you'd done an interview with him as well. And I wrote those 2 posts, and we did a quick fast blast. And I think I wrote on there as well, I can also make a super soldier. Well, I can. And you know, to know what a real super soldier is. Forget all this, get all the underground based stuff, that's all in the past. Things, you know, that, I'll open up a whole new can of worms here. I don't think, let's just say that's old hat, this is the future. That simplifies it.
Well, the leader of the Soviet Union, Putin, has announced about 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago that the use of super soldiers are more dangerous. Super soldiers are more dangerous, they're more lethal than nuclear weapons.
And he should purchase our service off us then, shouldn't he? Like the Chinese might. That would be interesting.
And it's interesting that your colleague who is recently poisoned in Earlstoke Jail, James Casbolt, he was talking about the Chinese and Russians being interested in his services.
Oh, they're really interested in how they can change their soldiers, but they're interested in this now because, you know, what another thing that people don't realise with Tim, you know, after people think he's a crackpot, all the world leaders are fully aware of Tim Rifat, all of them. All the world secret services are fully aware of Tim Rifat, especially the Russians, the British, the Germans, the North Koreans, and the Chinese, and the Americans, although he hasn't got much time for them. Like the military side of it and all that. So, and that's because, you know, he said before on certain things, he said, that you've asked him something, and he said no, because that would be encroaching on Lord Lucifer's business.
Now what do we mean by Lord Lucifer, Satan, the Elohim, and this complex number space thing that we've been talking about in Basis 88?
Let's just talk about Lucifer, because I'll lose track of what...
Okay. Go ahead.
So, I've already forgotten.
Lucifer.
What did I say about that then? Totally forgotten.
Lord Lucifer. Who is he?
No, it was before that. I was telling you something. It was part of that. It's just totally gone from me. Because I'm thinking about too much, and I'm reading my notes as well.
Well, stick to your notes then. Maybe it'll come back.
Damn it.
Just look at your notes and read from your notes.
No, because I didn't write that down. Something I really wanted to say. No, I can't remember, Miles. I'm tired as well.
Okay, well, we'll get back to your Super Soldier service. Do you want to sell that? What about that then? You've got these things up for sale, and you've got various crystals up for sale and things which keep you young. Do you want to talk about all that?
Is that
picture 8 quartz crystal?
And where's Oh, you had the Super Soldier service up there.
Yeah.
$10,000. That's a lot of money.
So, okay, I want to be a psychic super soldier. How do I do it? I've got $10,000. Who do I pay? What happens?
You write me an email first, and I'll put you on the list. It's a long list at the moment. There's a lot of people writing.
And what is your email?
God, what is it? It's a new one. It's Celestial Paladin at... I don't even know it, because I only made it up the other day. No, you're going to ask me that. Yeah, I'll look it up on YouTube. But what do you get for $10,000? Well, for a start, you can live to 200 years old.
Does that mean you live to a decrepit state at 200 years old? Why would anybody want to live to 200 years old if they're going to fall apart?
Because you'll stay looking young if you do it properly. And we'll teach you how to do it. And the videos of how to do it, the videos of how to use the Super Soldier Service for psychic warfare are in the first 3 parts of my YouTube channel. The videos about how to stay young and use it to heal yourself are the next 10 videos that we're going to show after that. And in the video description, there's also the 2-hour audio of Tim giving an overview of the entire service. Hang on a minute. What am I looking for? Actually, now I can't tell you my email, mate.
Okay, let's move on.
Next to the internet.
They can go to your YouTube site. You connect to that from there.
Yeah. It's written in.
And you are on Facebook.
Videos. I'm on Facebook, but I don't post anything on Facebook anymore. Really. Because my mum will end up watching one of the videos, and I told her not to watch them. She wanted to. I'm watching them. You just have too many questions for me. I don't want to tell you. So the crystals, and I'll also do a workshop where, and you don't just, it's not something like, oh, you give me the money and I send you these crystals in the post, and you've got to come and see me wherever I am and wherever you are in the world. You've got to come to me, and I'll sit with you for a whole day and I'll show you how it works, and I'll teach you how to use it. I mean, there'll be more workshops in the future, and possible upgrades and extra stuff that we might invent or come up with that will help people. But you've got to help us do this thing we're doing with the Rothschilds. And the more you help us do that, the better chance you've got of living to 200 years old. So it's a pretty good deal, really.
And how do people help? How do people get involved with that?
Well, that's in the videos. That's in the 2 videos we've already put up.
And the names of those videos are?
Super Soldier Service, Psychic Warfare Part 1 and Part 2. And that's on my YouTube channel. I've forgotten that as well. But anyway, so you see the quartz crystal. So you'll get a quartz crystal, and that has positive torsion field in it, and we talk about the torsion fields in the recent video as well. And you also get a dark crystal, which is the negative torsion field, and it's the left and right, and it's energy in and energy out. And the program that's in it is the Super Soldier program. And out of every program or service that Tim has ever invented, this is now the #1 service, the Super Soldier service. So it's quite an amazing thing. And in 10 years, when this is all over and done with, in 10 years, and we've done all the hard work, he ain't going to sell it for 10 grand. It'll probably be £1 million each, man. So it's like, now's your chance. That's why he's done, he's given everyone a chance. So if people don't want to believe him, he doesn't care. He doesn't care if no one buys anything off him, really. So a lot of people think it's about the money. Why does Tim want their money? Because of the energy of it as well. Don't forget Tim works in energy. It's not just about me. He's rich anyway. He's got loads of money. He's got more money than I've ever seen in my entire life. And a lot of people judge him as well because he's got scruffy hair and old trainers. I say, so what? Who cares? What does it matter, Does he have to present himself in a Rolls Royce just because he's got lots of money? Or a swanky Swiss hotel, or
Just looking at the chat room, Brandon Young is quite into what you're doing. Has he talked to you before?
I like Brandon. Brandon's clever because he understands the mathematics. Hello, Brandon. It's Dunk, mate. And
we've got Duncan. We've got the man on the left here on the phone.
Oh yeah, Brandon. Brandon's saying the videos were put up on psychicwarfare.com. Yeah, I forgot about that. They did that today, I think, or yesterday. But no, Brandon's interesting because he's good at explaining the mathematics that Tim talks about, and that's what I struggled with because it wasn't. I didn't.
Oh, so Brandon is a mathematician. He can explain it, right?
Yeah, and he's. This is what I was telling you about last week. The guy that does Texas Bases did a talk with Brandon, and it was quite interesting.
Oh yeah, you're talking about
what I was telling you about.
The Greek guy. Okay.
Oh, and there was the other. Yeah, there was the other one as well. Yeah.
You talk Greek, American Greek. Yeah, Jesus.
And I struggled with a lot of maths because I wasn't mathematically minded, but I'm getting there now. Tim's upgraded me to be more clever because the Rothschilds and the Elohim sucked the power from my brain. But that's another story. So I don't know if you've seen on Tim's website, if you look under the videos, he's got, I just want to say this because some people are going to be horrified when they look on Tim's website. There's a lot of pictures to do with Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus, Rihanna, and a few other A-listers. What people need to understand is that these are some of the most powerful witches in the world. And when Tim does these things, he does them with his friend Nick in London. And believe me, when Miley Cyrus, etc., read these or look at these pictures and read what's in them, and believe me, they do. Katy Perry has studied a lot of Tim's work as she puts a lot of his work in her pop videos. They know what Tim's talking about. Most of us don't, but they all do. They know what it's all about.
Well, the next slide looks pretty horrific. This is one of the extra slides you've sent. It's up on screen now, but you'll not see it on Facebook for about another minute. But it looks like a giant beetle insect upside down.
Oh, the parasites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What exactly is that thing? Is that a model or what?
I can't see it yet.
It's just up on screen now.
Is it like a giant bug thing?
Yeah.
You know what? Isn't that there was a film, Mimic. It looks like a creature out of Mimic. Remember that film?
No, but I mean, this isn't an actual photograph. It's obviously an indication of what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's from Tim Rifat's website. Is that right?
There was a Facebook page called Tim Rifat Quotes, and there was literally hundreds of these pictures with quotes from Tim on it. And I went to it today to get some, and it's disappeared. It's like gone, like been deleted or removed or something.
Well, that's interesting because a top US military guy who was talking to me, his Facebook account been deleted. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, on to the next slide then. Again, it's looks like an actor or something.
That was about microwaves, that one. What's the next one?
Well, it's the slave zombies. Can you see that? It's funny. You're still getting it about 30 seconds after it's on the live stream.
Yeah, it's like an hour delay. Well, this one has to understand. Yeah.
Okay, the people. That's one of his brilliant quotes.
Yeah, she's calling you all morons. We have been made into morons. You know what I mean? You know, we've got to face up to what's happened to us all.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the last slide that's available on your PowerPoint from you gave me tonight was a thing about parasitic wasps.
Is this Jacob Rothschild?
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's just on screen on the live stream, but I think you get it in another 20 seconds.
You need to show this one. Look at the picture on the page.
Yeah.
Someone asleep with parasites.
Now, it's important about this picture is it's a red-headed woman being parasited.
Yeah. And that's what Tim sees. He sees that. He sees them. you know.
So what's on screen is the sort of thing that these things will actually look like.
Yeah, you can't see them. And do you remember I used to take all these pictures of orbs with James Casbolt and Sahel?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking 12, 13 years ago, and we used to take pictures of thousands of them. And I went back through a lot of them the other day, and mate, you can actually see these things on us. You can see them now, looking back into the past. Couldn't see them then. Didn't understand what they were.
Well, something I noticed about pictures of orbs is that they change state on a digital picture.
Yeah.
After the photograph has been.
Yeah, they can do all that.
So, for instance, I took a load of orbs at a Royal Artillery Club with some very nice ladies I know who had a birthday party there on Piccadilly, and there were loads of orbs.
Yeah.
And the orbs it was a group shot across the. Across a great oil painting of the cavalry in all the horses and the cavalry all being prepared in the stables, and they were on this huge wide sofa, and there was about 11 of these lovely ladies all laughing very nicely, and there were several orbs above them, and every time I showed that picture to different people, the orbs had changed position on that photograph, which means the orbs are active within the digital matrix of the digital photograph.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people understand that a digital photograph is not a still thing like it's a dynamic state of digital stuff in the digital matrix which can change.
Yeah.
Which means digital everything is extremely Trojan horse.
Yeah, and also you got that thing of the past can be changed from the future now.
Yeah. Which is what you guys are doing, which is this whole thing that you've mentioned Sahel. I think that's the end of your slides, almost. There's one more bit about the Rothschilds.
Oh, yeah.
The Goyim.
Oh, we're the Goyim. We're the fucktards, as Tim would say. The fucktard Goyim. Yes, Mr. Rothschild, no Mr. Rothschild. I don't support the Rothschilds, but I still pay tax and use money.
Brandon Young has said on the chat room he has to go, but this is going to be a Bases 88 Part 7 and will be uploaded shortly onto the Bases YouTube site.
And you know, like with British money,
you've
got that round circle in the middle of the note?
Yeah, the new English £10 note, Bank of England £10 note you're talking about.
Yeah, where that circle is, it used to just be white, but now it's clear, isn't it? Yeah, that's got something to do with your soul. You start spending this money, that's a soul contract. That's you handing over energy every time you spend money. You're giving your energy away to Rothschild.
Now this is very interesting because there was an abductee in...
That's a hint.
There's an abductee in Limerick, and he had we had him on Bases, we had him at the conference in Dublin. Cutting a long story short, he was able to come. The alien said, "If you want to come back, we'll have you back and everything else and blah blah blah. But the one thing you must not bring is any money with you."
Yeah, energy of money. Tim did a video. There's a video. You can just stick it into YouTube. Do the physics of money or something. The energy of money. I think he did it with Jeff Ben. He talks about that for a whole hour. What he means.
Well, I have to say that I would like to get some kind of a college together so that this kind of information can be properly taught to people, and it was something we were going to develop at the start of the year, and our backer pulled out. Well, that's the end of the PowerPoint.
Do you want to mention Sahel briefly?
Yeah. Okay. One of the things which happened. We do still have a Skype somewhere, but we're not going to go into Skype now. Okay, one of the things which happened when I was asked to record all this with the Gridkeeper was Duncan phoned me up and says, because you're coming down to do this video, time has changed, it's the most important thing, blah blah blah, and what's happened is a parasite, a creature that was in Sohail's back exploded or blew a couple of his vertebrae. He collapsed. He was taken to hospital, 9-hour operation, and something was retrieved from that. Could you go and explain that now?
Yeah, it was it was taken out. and it was removed from the hospital. And there's a whole story that he wants to tell you about what happened. It's really interesting.
Now, I've mentioned this briefly on a number of Fast Blasts.
Do you know, the good thing is that I'm really excited for you to talk to him, because do you remember he's been involved in the past, but when you go back there, when you interviewed me in 2013 on top of Goodwood Hill,
yes,
and we were both talking to the side to someone sitting in a car, well, that was him, because he was with me when I first met James Kersbolt. He was with me when I went to St Ives and that helicopter beamed us on the beach when it came down to stand, and he was with us when we went to Peasmore.
Now, you guys have been inside Peasmore.
Apparently so. I don't know. I don't remember any of it. All I remember is the clock's just losing half an hour very quickly.
Yeah, but Duncan, you told me that you were in Peasmore in a white room, and you were strapped down to a gurney or whatever it is, and so Hale was there, and James Casbolt was there, and there were two other Delta Force people there, and you remember that. This is the thing, Duncan.
No.
You'll go in and out of yes, this has happened, and no, it hasn't.
Oi, listen. They remembered it. They did regression. I've never wanted regression. I've never been interested in it.
Well, likewise, I don't want to be in regression.
Yeah, exactly. They got regression done, and they both told me the same thing. And I went, whoa, that was a bit mental.
Yeah, but James was involved with this thing at the Super Soldier Summit in 2013, which was shortly before he did he was divorced from the United States and came here and ended up in jail.
And don't forget, I went back to Peasmore after that happened, 2 weeks later, with my photographer friend who didn't know anything about all this. And we sat in the pub, and it was 9 o'clock or something, and we both checked the time, and I was joking about lost time from 2 weeks before. And then we sat at the bar, got a drink, and the pub was full of people, and there was evening football on, and there was people eating. And all of a sudden, I remember this, everything went black, like jet black, couldn't see a thing. And then it was like reality stopped, started up again, but it was now 10 o'clock and not 9 o'clock. And we both looked at each other and went, what the fuck just happened? And I'll never forget that. That was really weird.
But you have been in the base, the White Room with James, and the Delta Force people were there, and then the doctor came in and said, what the hell are you doing there?
Why did you bring him in here? You shouldn't have done that.
Which is a very similar thing to Matt Todd, who said something similar.
Look at my relationship with MI5 in the military. You think in 2006 I went up to Scotland. I went to Scotland with the secret deputy director of the CIA, and I was with James and Sir Hal then, wasn't I? We went to Balmoral Castle. And then we were chased 10 miles by MI6, and it all got a bit mental because we got caught in the grounds of the castle by the police, which was a bit crazy. But we were all there together as well. But every time I'm there and involved, everything's a bit weirder. And then you've got all these helicopters that used to come over, and then we were in Peasmore, and they're looking at me going, the Delta Force apparently, get him out of there. Now, I've had that in a police station. I went into the police station for 3.5 hours once because I was so pissed off with it all. You know, I was like, we're spending hundreds of millions of pounds on these Black Ops helicopters. It's all on my YouTube channel. You just got to type in Gridkeeper choppers helicopter into YouTube. There's dozens of videos that you'll never see anywhere else in the world. You know, they come so close. There's an Apache doing a loop-the-loop over that crop circle last year.
Now, which crop circle? That was.
I got bored of it in the end. I stopped going.
But then you have the yellow-topped helicopters, which I've seen, and I've seen them land at what looks like a portal at the Eastfield of just below Knapp Hill.
They take off from Middle Wallop. So I stayed in a house next to it a few years ago, and they were taking off in the morning, and then they were just hovering over the house. But yeah, they used the Lynx, the Apaches, the Pumas, the Sea Kings, the Merlins. They used to use the Gazelles, but they don't use them anymore. The number 45 and 48 helicopter they're called Squirrel Navy training helicopters.
Yeah.
But when you see them and it goes, after that you usually see a Chinook or an Apache come along. And it was, when I was in Bognor Regis, staying in the middle of town, and they'd come over, and there's videos where there's 2 Chinooks outside my window, and then there's 2 Merlins, and they're flashing red lights at us and things like that. And then I only went to the crop circles with John Leonard Walton once, but Sahel came with me. And it's, I can't remember what the video's called, crop circle trip or something, helicopters, and we got stuck on the motorway, and there was like 5 Chinooks flying around us. You know, and I got so much stick for putting that on the internet. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go into my police station and have it out with them.
Well, what do you mean you got stick? And by the way, the guy from bases Texas is Ian Thropos.
Yes.
And he's doing a very good job, excellent job, thanks to Ian for starting things up over there in Texas. Thank you.
Nice. So, I lost track now.
So these helicopters said hi, and you got the yellow ones, which I've seen, and I've seen them here in the East Field, and they were hovering on virtually virgin crop that had just started to pump, just to poke up from the ground, and it was within inches of that, measuring something.
Yeah.
And that's at Knapp Hill, and a gentleman who has talked about the sentient fluid, who does CE5s up there, has explained that in recent weeks, people up at Knapp Hill have been forced off the hill by the police on the basis that it's University of Oxford land.
Wow.
So you can't even do a skywatch now.
Wow. I remember in, when was it, 2007, I went to Stonehenge and I did something there, and the Chinook took off from Boston Down, a gazelle came over, and I got in my car, started driving towards Salisbury, and that number, I think it was the 45, flew over the top of my car, and then turned around and came back over me, and we filmed it. And it was at the time where I was doing all the spaceship videos and the moon and getting so many millions of hits and everything. And then I released all the helicopters, and everyone went, "Oh, this is all bullshit. You're just going to airfields and filming them." I thought, why the hell would I do that? So I said to my friend to stop the car in the next labour. I think it was on the 303. And we stopped the car, and if you type in Stonehenge crop circle trip, Stonehenge trip choppers 2007, you'll see it. And we stopped the car in the lay-by, and the helicopter stopped. And it comes right over the car, really low, right over, turns around, and then just goes down about 5 foot off the ground in the field next to us and hovers there for a bit, and then zigzags away. It was really weird. I've got a few like that, but that was the one where everyone started going, actually. He's quite mad. But yeah, going back to Peasmore. So they didn't want me in there. Why didn't they want me in there? Because, and I'll tell you that, I've not said this at all, but someone had already remote viewed the future and saw what I'd done in the future with Tim. And because of what I've done with Tim, that connects me to every event that's ever happened in my past, including ending up in an underground base. And no wonder they didn't want me in there, because they knew that one day I'd be able to do something from the past to do with that event. And that's a weird way to be, and that's being a fifth-dimensional being, when you can actually change your own past, or turn a negative event in your past into a positive event. It's really bizarre, but interesting. Hard to explain. It's quite new to me.
Well, in closing, what about Sahel? He's had this creature taken out of him. He's had hours of surgery. What's happening there?
He's okay. I actually went out with him the other day. He's not walking around much.
Yeah, but this is somebody only 4 weeks ago was totally paralysed and was unable to walk and had 20 hours of surgery with special people. Explain all that.
Mate, when he rang me up, I thought he was going to die. He rang me up from the hospital, and I thought, I'm saying goodbye here to my oldest friend. You know, I didn't even know there was anything wrong with him. He just rang me up and said, look, if anything happens to me, and I'm going, what? What is this? So, but anyway, I'm amazed at his recovery. Amazed. How he's recovered after what he went through.
Well, what did he go through? Explain what happened.
Well, they had a 9-hour operation and then a 5-hour or something like that operation.
But you phoned me up
when he's back
and explained that because I was doing this interview with Tim Rifat, as we'd agreed, and that was that Sunday morning I was about to take off and drive.
Yeah.
Suhail collapsed at a wedding because 2 of his vertebrae were almost eaten by this creature in his back.
They thought he was having a heart attack. That's what they thought. And then they opened him up pretty quick. And they did it pretty quick the second time. They didn't even tell him he was having an operation, really. They just did it. It was weird. These are the Delta Force people deep underground in the medical facility. They came somewhere, and the guy was a neurosurgeon as well. He wasn't just spinal. Because I went and spoke to him. I went and asked loads of questions in the hospital, and they did that I don't know anything thing. But he wants to talk to you, but he just needs a little bit more time.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about somebody who's totally paralysed, has special surgeons in a special hospital deep underground.
Yeah.
They allow him to take the material away. And so we've got evidence, and Miriam and Suhail and yourself seem to be saying that, you're saying this is alien material which can only access this reality through his body. I know. Explain all that.
No, it's a man-made thing, but I don't know whether the material is alien or not. I just know it's
Well, it couldn't be alien if it wouldn't survive in the human body. It must be something which is compatible with the human body for it.
There's some weird interdimensional stuff going on with it as well, but he'll tell you about that.
Which is why you think it should be destroyed, and there's no pictures available to be seen on it, even though Suhail said there were lots of pictures taken of it.
Oh, I've got some right here now. I can't show them to you because I want him to do it. It's his story.
Yeah, it's his story.
He's never been on view, has he? Do you remember when I actually released the Peasmore video? And this is when I started my relationship with MI5. And when I released that Peasmore video, and James is talking on camera, and then we're standing by the church doing the dowsing, he's the guy in the balaclava.
Yeah.
But that video. Oh, I gave you the video.
Yeah,
back, didn't I?
I mean, he only appears very briefly while you're driving, and that's from Scotland and things.
Oh, I gave you the Scotland video, didn't I?
Yeah.
Have you got the video of when we were in the stone circle up near Balmoral Church?
I don't know. I haven't been able to go through all that. I've got so much stuff with Caroline to do, who's going to be livid that I'm even doing this. Caroline doesn't want me to do any more.
You'll be able to talk to him soon. Oh, do you know what I was talking about earlier? I just want to go back to the police station. I sat in that police station, I'm not going to tell you which one, but I sat in there for 3.5 hours. 2 coppers came out, all dressed in riot gear with guns, everything, and I was quite grateful to be there, and I went to shake their hands, and they both backed away from me and stood up against the wall, and I thought, that's weird. When I got interviewed, I was interviewed by someone that wasn't briefed on even why I was there.
I think they do that deliberately.
And the CID wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't. I had a conversation with one on the phone afterwards, and he just screamed at me, hated on me.
They did what?
He absolutely hated on me. And then what I talked about some police stuff, which was cool. I sort of regret doing that, but I did it anyway, just to see what would happen. And I then spoke about the moon stuff. I spoke about, the Wilson thing and the spaceships. And then I spoke about the military helicopters, which they denied any knowledge of them. So we showed him video of one over the police station with police looking at it. And all I was told about everything that had happened in the few years before that was, we're not qualified to talk about any of it. That was their response. And I smiled at that. I said, thanks, that's all I needed. And I just walked out as easily as I walked in. I thought I shouldn't have been able to. What I told them about themselves in front of their faces, I should not have been able to walk out of that building, and I did.
Well, you're walking with Tim Rifat in the middle of Brighton now. So, what was all that about? And
that's what a lot of people that think that Tim's full of shit or isn't the real deal or is just some nutcase. What I say to them is, on his website, he has a lot of services. Some of them are very, very expensive. Some of them have got, for instance, The Last Jedi and a picture of the Star Wars film. There's a lot of services that are linked to the Pentagon psychic warfare programs, etc., linked to Marvel. Captain America, and quite a few others, and Disney. Now, how many websites in the world do you know that can take anything from Marvel, Disney, or Star Wars, put it on their website, and then make a product and sell it for a lot of money? Doesn't happen.
Now, on the photograph with you and Tim looks really quite fit and young. Has he age regressed based on all this?
He's 60 years old, and people say, oh, he should look younger. Yeah, you've got to understand, they try and poison him regularly. That's another story to talk about, and it has happened, you know. And they are constantly bombarding him from all directions.
Which is why they raided his house, his
whole
apartment.
Team of MI5 agents set up in an office in Brighton, in the High Street, just to monitor Tim. He keeps them busy, you know.
Well, yeah. I'm sure if you're dealing with somebody with incredible power, the domestic security service should be doing their job monitoring him like that. Isn't that the right thing?
Yeah, and I also say, look at what he's just done on YouTube, on videos that, there's no rating. I sometimes think they should be rated 18, but they're not rated.
Are you referring to the ones we did?
They're harsh
lectures?
videos. Yeah. I'm the first one to admit that. But they're brutal because this is the brutal truth of everyone's reality. Even the people that will blindly tell me that I'm wrong and they're right. I'm not interested in that.
Well, it's getting late. We started late. I think we've been running about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, my point was these videos shouldn't. If anyone else had done these videos, they would have been taken off YouTube. They're still there, you know.
Well, I would invite people to take them, to record them and keep them safe.
You know, they're still there. Just think about that, and then think about what we're saying in the videos.
And there's somebody asking, when are we going to see these pictures of this creature? And that is when Suhail is ready to do that.
He's close to seeing you. I know he looked really well the other day.
And this is somebody who was paralysed.
I just couldn't believe it. We went out to the car boot sale.
You went out to a car boot sale with somebody who was paralysed and couldn't walk only 3 weeks ago.
He looked so well. Couldn't believe it.
So critics would say nothing really happened. There's no evidence here, and the whole thing's a put-up job.
It'll come out. You just have to wait. I'm sorry, everyone, but it's his story, and you've never all seen him. And you know, this would be for him to tell everyone and show you all the pictures, not me.
Yeah.
Not my story. You know, let him do it.
Yeah.
Let him do it. And then once he's done it, I'll talk to you a lot more about it.
Well, that sounds exciting. And okay, basically, a final shout out to. Where do people see your stuff? How do they see your? How do we buy all these things and get these services?
Yeah, just go to Gridkeeper on YouTube and start looking at the new videos. There's 2 new ones. There's some on there that look new, but they're just unprivated from 12 years ago. They're not new. They're really old. And I'd invite everyone to come and join us. I know it sounds like a lot of money, $10,000, but once you see the next videos and you see what we're actually giving you for that price, it's it's something else.
It's a cheap, but at a 10,000 euros or dollars.
Dollars. Yeah, it takes
cheap at twice the price.
Yeah, it is, and like I say, in a few years' time, a lot of these things Tim does are going to be worth millions. You know.
And that is as more Rothschilds
realise how real this is, and that it's actually all happening, and there's no stopping it. You know, it's happening, man.
It's happening, man. Okay, yeah. Duncan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Any final little thing you want to say?
No, I'll probably remember loads of stuff after.
Yeah. Well, we managed to get some pictures out and get that coordinated and lined up in a row, so we got that.
Oh, everyone who thinks that Tim's evil, here's something he did. You know, the Catholic priests that raped or killed all the women years ago?
Well, are you referring to an Australian case where there's 161 victims?
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is.
Or the Irish.
This is how Tim can change the past, right? This is something good that he did. Just as an example, if everyone's thinking about, is that when those priests die, their souls go into the bodies and switch with the women that are being abused. And the other thing I was going to say, when he talks about A-listers and everyone goes, oh, you can't say that. People don't understand what all the false idols have done on this planet and how they've done all these satanic contracts. It doesn't just affect the person that did the contract, it affects everyone that worships them.
And likewise, Premiership football. To tell us about that.
Well, that's the new religion. That's taking over from the old religion.
And Tim changed...
Football creates more energy than normal religion at the moment, I think.
But Tim selected and was successful at getting the Premiership this year with Man City.
Oh, yeah, he said it on Rent. He said, I'm going to put Man City to win. Man City won the Premiership with over 100 points, and no football team in the living history has got over 100 points in a season. It's never happened. He also said to Abramovich, give me £10 million or I'll ruin you. And he went, no. So he went to the Russians and he paid the Russians more money to up their psychic warfare program to help Chelsea cheat as usual and get to the top of the Premiership and into the European championships and everything. And Tim's team succeeded in bringing them out of the top four. And then Abramovich wanted to build a new stadium. Well, that would have gone against the British because that would have built a psychotronic generator which would have pulled all the power out of the Chelsea stadium and fed it to the Russian psychic warfare team. So Tim did this to prove to Putin that his psychic warfare team is more powerful than theirs. And of course, you know, that Vladimir Putin's well aware of Tim Rifat. And when I said about the world leaders earlier, Angela Merkel, she's the only world leader that can understand the mathematics that Tim presents. So she's got the jump start on everyone else in that respect. Another reason why Trump came over was to have a talk about Tim and other things. So yeah, that you've got the Chelsea thing, but then you've got the
what were the other things before we go?
Other things to do with Tim.
Oh.
Maybe your name was brought up. It wouldn't have surprised me.
Are you telling me that Trump would even know my name?
Yeah, and the Home Office. You imagine the conversations that have gone on in the Home Office recently about our videos. So,
well, I'm flattered.
You should be. I'm joking. So,
well, anyway, let's say good night.
I just want to say one more thing. The World Cup. So Tim said he's going to take England into the World Cup to the semi-final. Then he's going to drop them. He's going to make France win so that he can take the energy of Vietnam winning over America in the war and inject that into France with all the euphoria from them winning the World Cup and use it against the EU or something like that. I can't quite remember. So
well, I mean, if you tell Caroline Stevens that, she'll leap over the moon. She thinks that she's Brexit. Yeah, she doesn't think we're going to get Brexit. And
this whole thing about the super soldier, it's against all these things as well. People don't realise the power of it and what it does. It's not about randomly going around killing everyone. It's not like that. It's just
well, that would be very destructive. I mean, ending on a positive note, give us a positive note.
The sun's coming out tomorrow.
Well, Struth.
And you'll probably wake up breathing. There you go.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Duncan. And that's you outside Bartholomew's Church. What's the significance of that on that photograph from basis?
Bartholomew's?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's coming.
Bartholomew's was a church that Colin Bloy used, which is 169 feet long, which is 13 by 13. And that's to do with Tim's mathematics. You want to ask? Yeah, I don't know too much about that side of it because that's still the occult stuff, and I never learned about the numbers in occult. I'm just learning it now, so I'm a bit behind on a lot of it, mate.
Oh well, thank God for that. Well, thank you very much, and we'll say good night.
Good night, mate.
And all the best. So right. I will fade myself up on this and say good night to you, Duncan.
Good night, everyone. Speak to you soon. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheerio. Well, that's that. We'll say goodnight. If you want to help with the Basis project, could you subscribe to thebasisproject.org, pay directly to PayPal, and that would be very helpful indeed, because we would help that. We'd like that very much if that's possible, to help us move along. And also Steam It, which we're still trying to set up. And also, if you'd like to be a Patreon, go to Patreon, www.patreon.com. This is an MJM production, copyright 2018 for the Basis Project 88, Part 7.